Slow drip,
Slow drip,
full faucet.
full faucet. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, August 4th. Dare to think. And we're back. Slow drip, full faucet, or however you phrase that. Yeah, it's been a while. Current events, I think Donald Trump was indicted today for the fourth indictment that was regarding the January 6th conspiracy, they said, to overthrow the government. So we'll see how that goes. Well, and let's see. There's a lot of stuff going on with AI recently. There's a lot of UFO coverage, like on all mainstream media platforms.
Okay, so what we're talking about is what the mainstream media is talking about to the masses, right?
Yeah.
So why do you think that they're propagating all of this stuff now? What do you think it is? Do you think it's real? Do you think it's a distraction?
I think it's a lot of distraction. There's definitely distraction because there's been like congressional testimony against Hunter Biden and his like foreign dealings that involve Joe Biden basically laundering money through shell companies to get paid millions of dollars. But then you have Donald Trump indicted on the same day, and then you have like alien stuff going on every mainstream media platform. So I think it's a distraction. They don't want you to know about the Hunter Biden and like this Biden crime family syndicate. So they're just going to distract you with like Donald Trump indictments that are never going to go anywhere. And all this alien stuff.
What is your take on all of that?
Yeah, just like what I said.
Like one at a time, though. One at a time. What's your take on the alien thing?
Well, I've always been fascinated with extraterrestrials, aliens, alien abductions since I was a kid. I've always been researching it.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever watch Unsolved Mysteries?
Oh, all the time, dude. I love that show. Actually, you can
too.
watch reruns on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it's great.
All right, go on.
Boom. Yeah, I definitely think that aliens exist. They've existed and been here on this planet, in my opinion, longer than we have. There's a whole hidden history. So the fact that the aliens are coming out, if you will, in the mainstream, I think is definitely a distraction. And
a distraction. Who is propagating the distraction?
The international global banking cartel that control the media outlets.
And you believe that extraterrestrials are real, though?
Yes. Yes,
so
I do.
What is the connection between that distraction and you believing ETs are real?
Well, I think it's very important to go back. I don't know if you've researched this, but a lot of people that I have researched say the last card that the elite, if you will, are going to play is the alien card, which is a fake alien invasion in order to unite the masses, if you will, and create a one world government.
And what is the predictive programming connection that you make to that?
There's been tons of movies about alien invasions.
What's the first one that comes to your mind? I have one major one that comes to my mind.
The Will Smith movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Independence Day.
Independence Day, yes.
Yep.
That
100%.
That's like the first one that really pops into my head.
Yep. Me too. No, you get an A.
Nice. Yeah, it's if everyone is use fear, right? We've talked about this so many times. If you use fear, you can manipulate people, So
well, and you suggest, so Bill Cooper said that Ronald Reagan tagged onto 6 of his speeches. This is Ronald Reagan, so he was the president in the 80s, before the Will Smith Independence Day movies came out. And he said that Ronald Reagan said he often thought that the best way to unite the the world and to put aside our differences is if we had some sort of external threat
Yeah.
from outer space.
That's a pretty famous speech.
Yeah. Well, Ronald Reagan said it 5 or 6 different times.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, and if I get the clip, I'm going to throw it into this podcast.
It's going to be in here.
Yeah.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
And so, isn't that interesting to suggest that to the world?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then to say, oh, we've been kind of pretending, the power elites are saying, oh, well, you guys, we've been holding the secret back from you all, so we had to kind of like ease you into it so it wouldn't be super traumatic for you guys. And now here it is, and oh no, we have this external threat, so let's just all put aside our differences and come together under a global government and fight off this common enemy that we all face. And It's like that. Then you watch Independence Day and you're like, oh yeah, that's what we got to do. Everybody just kind of forget about, your country and your rules and your sovereignty and your whatever, and just come under like global control so we can fight these bad guys. Fight off the bad enemy from outer space.
Yeah. It's Project Bluebeam, which has been talked about. And
Project Red Light.
Yeah.
Yep.
All these lasers in the sky that can just project images that look real. Amazing. When I was a kid, I was probably like 12 years old. Okay, this is probably like it was in the 90s. So I go to Disneyland with my family.
Yeah.
And they had the Fantasia show. And Fantasia Experience, I think they called it. And they literally had all these lasers and dragons and all this stuff in the sky. And I'm looking at this technology. It was amazing back then.
Yeah.
Now think of how much more advanced it is. And it looked great then. You could probably convince people that this was real then in the 90s. So, 20-something years later. So it's not far-fetched.
And the technology is always more sophisticated. Do you think like they're just sharing their do you think like they're on the same level that we are? Technologically speaking? No way. They're way far ahead.
Yeah.
So what we deal with here, it's kind of like, look at it like in the terms of like warfare. Do you think like the Army and the Navy or whatever, when they go to war, do you think that they're limited to the technology that we have in warfare? No way. They got stuff that's way more sophisticated. And so it's the same way for, the power elites who have like, they're so far ahead. We talk about like all this stuff like, and the technology that we have today is amazing. It's really cool and it's really sophisticated, and to think like how far it's come in my lifetime is amazing. Mm-hmm. But, you look at like, you listen to Elon Musk or whoever, or, the metaverse and what's his name?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg. All that commercial stuff, that is not the cutting edge technology at all. It's cutting edge to the public sector. But not at all to the people who are like creating it. who are weaponizing it and all that other kind of stuff. They're so far ahead.
Could be 30, 40, 50 years advanced.
Or more.
Yeah.
So for them to take that kind of technology and then kind of produce it in front of us and say, oh, wow, look, guys, it's an alien invasion. Everybody's going to drop to their knees and go, oh, please, save us from these aliens.
Yeah.
Let's all combine under just save us, global people. That's the plan, dude.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That is a contingency
dude,
plan.
It sounds crazy, but this has been talked about.
It's not
for
crazy
years,
at all.
For years, it's been talked about for years. So here it is. It's all over the mainstream media. If you said 10, 15 years ago that the MSM was going to be talking about aliens and extraterrestrials nonstop, people would probably look at you.
Like how much? Okay, so you follow this more than I do. How much are they talking about it right now?
A lot. It's
Really?
all over the place.
Like, what are they saying?
Podcast. Well, they have airline pilots that are coming out and saying we saw things. They have military personnel coming out and admitting that they saw things.
How do we know that they're airline pilots and not like actors?
Well, you don't, and I mean you don't. You have to take everything with a grain of salt. I think it totally is a psyop, and that's kind of been the big joke, as like the conspiracy theorists are saying, no, there's not aliens here right now, and all the normies, quote normies, if you will, are saying, oh, no, there are aliens. No, it's a psyop. It's being used to control and manipulate you in order to move ahead an agenda. So that's my opinion after researching all this for all these years.
Yeah. But yet you said that you believe that extraterrestrials are real.
I do believe they're real. Okay. Yes,
exactly. Expound on that.
It's just
I have no judgment for you, Matt. I just want to hear your point of view.
Well, we don't know anything. We're like, as a human race on this planet, we're just kind of a drop in the bucket. And to think that we're the only intelligent life that's here in the universe or in this galaxy just seems ludicrous. So, and there's so much evidence on this earth of like past advanced civilizations that it seems silly to think that we are the most advanced civilization that's ever existed on Earth. It's just...
Why is that difficult for you to accept?
Because there's so much evidence of extraterrestrials. There's so many accounts of... There's military people that have come out and admitted that they worked for black ops military organizations recovering crashed UFO. You have the famous case that probably everyone knows, Roswell, New Mexico, the crash site. You have like the Barney Hill incident that happened in the late 50s. That's an abduction case. It was a husband and wife that were abducted. It's very fascinating.
Were they abducted or were they brainwashed?
They could have been brainwashed. Let's just say they were brainwashed. But there's also hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of other accounts of people and witnesses to these things. Experiencing... here's another one. How about the movie with Mr. Walton that was abducted? I can't think of the name of the movie.
Fire in the Sky.
Fire in the Sky. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yes. He was he was cutting down trees. He was abducted in the 70s.
Maybe I got my movies mixed up.
No, it was Fire in the Sky.
Was it?
Yeah, so there's just been, this is something that I've been fascinated with since I was a little kid. So I've read tons of books. I pretty much tried to look at every bit of information I could get my hands on regarding this.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's absolutely zero doubt in my mind.
Mm.
Yeah, there's zero doubt. So that's my opinion. We could go into it deeper. We could look at like ancient ruins of Egypt, or like Machu Picchu, or like these ancient civilizations that existed with all these like huge megaliths.
Yeah.
And like, how did they build those, and how did they have the technology to build those?
Well,
it
maybe
doesn't
they
make
had
any
some
sense.
kind of technology that we're just not familiar with these days. I think that that's another possibility.
That I will agree with. Yes.
Yeah, I think that there's
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of I think that there's a lot of things that we just don't know that could have gotten lost in history. And instead of saying, well, it's coming to the conclusion that, well, because we're not familiar with it, it must be some sort of extraterrestrial technology.
That is true. That is true.
I don't see the evidence of extraterrestrials. I just don't.
I think
do think that the deception is very great, especially in the last 100 to 150 years. Let's say 100 years. With technological advances, I think that, just like we were talking about before, the planting the idea in the public's mind that extraterrestrials exist and they are a threat from beyond, I think is a powerful psychological suggestion. And I do think that there is technology in the hands of, the bad guys that can make it look like it's from a different planet. And also the whole predictive programming aspect of movies such as Independence Day and whatnot enforce that kind of idea. We all just need to get together. And then there's Ronald Reagan saying, oh, I often wonder how we would be able to set aside our differences and just come together under one world government. So, when we know that that's the end goal of these people, I think we need to take into account the whole psychological aspect of that, and then look at maybe the tools that they might have access to kind of reinforce in our minds. And then when they also release shows like maybe like the X-Files, or, like we were talking about before, like Unsolved Mysteries and all the abductions and the and what we know about, intelligence agencies abducting people and doing MK Ultra mind experiments on them to get them think like that they were losing their minds, or that they were, abducted by aliens or anything, all those suggestive psychological practices. We have to look at everything. We have to put everything on the table before we can kind of come to a conclusion, even though I have kind of come to that conclusion already, that I think it's mostly a psyop. You don't have to agree with me, man.
It is a psyop. Yes, it obviously is a psyop, but that doesn't mean that extraterrestrials don't exist.
Yeah, it's a possibility. Where is the evidence of it, though?
That could be a whole
Dude,
other. That could be a whole other. I've done like 25 years of research. I think looking at Bill Lazar is a.
Who's
am
that?
I saying it? Mr. Lazar. Yeah, he worked for Area 51, and yeah, he's been on Joe Rogan. He's been all over the place.
Yeah.
And he worked on craft that were apparently given to us by other extraterrestrials or other advanced civilizations. So we're using these craft, and his job was to back engineer them, understand how they worked.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating listen. But anyway, I know, we differ on the whole extraterrestrial thing.
I like that though.
I
I like
yeah,
when we
no,
disagree.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
I've been fascinated with it my whole life.
Yeah.
So I don't have a doubt in my mind. I'm like 101% sure. So I have no doubts. There's just too much information. Like the whole reason, the whole thing why I do this podcast, why I talk to you, why I talk to people, why I research, I'm trying to understand reality. I'm trying to understand the big picture.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand why I'm here in this physical body and I'm sitting in this room. Why? What's going on? So when you realize that there's a whole spiritual element to everything, when you realize that everything is energy and everything is a vibrational frequency vibrating at a different resonancy that makes up three-dimension or physical objects in this 3D reality, you realize that everything in essence is just mind, spirit. It's just energy. So I think when we die, we're just moving on to a different vibrational frequency. We lose our body in this three-dimensional reality, but we don't die. Energy never dies. So my point is, yes, aliens always exist. They've always been here. You have to look at the world for what it is and not what you're told it is. Aliens could be, there's many accounts of people witnessing UFOs and they just completely disappear. Well, maybe these advanced civilizations know how to go in between different frequencies of realities, to go in between this 3D dimensional reality and another higher vibrational frequency. They have that technology. So you're looking at beings that can go in between realities, if you will, or at different radio frequencies, almost like an old AM or FM tuner in your car where you turn the knob and you like hear different radio stations. You get in between two stations and you kind of hear, like hiss but if you kind of tune it, you tune yourself in a certain way, then you tune into that frequency. It's the same thing with reality. So my point is you have to understand what reality is, and then understanding extraterrestrials makes more sense, at least in my mind. Sorry, that was a tangent.
Don't apologize.
I don't know how to.
What planet are these extraterrestrials from?
I don't. They could not be from a planet. Because we're living in this 3D reality where if you tune into a different frequency, you're on a whole different reality. So they might not be from this physical dimension.
Ah.
So they're not going. It's not linear time. It's not like you're going from point A to point B. They're literally tuning in or tuning out to this frequency of reality. So they could be from a whole different reality that is existing right here now, but we can't see it. Just like we can't see Wi-Fi radio frequencies or radio frequencies.
So some people believe in ghosts or spirits.
Right. Ghosts are just a different frequency. The reason why there's pictures of ghosts and they're translucent is because they're not dialed into this frequency. They're kind of like in between frequencies, like on a radio where you hear static.
Is it possible that what you're acknowledging as extraterrestrials, you may be mistaking for some kind of other being?
They could be ghosts, and I know there's a lot of people, maybe like religious, if you will, who say there's no such things as extraterrestrials. They're fallen angels or demons. I don't know if you've heard that theory.
I would tend to believe that.
So, right, I mean, you're much more well versed in the Bible than I am. I am like, I don't know anything. But when they talk about like fallen angels and they talk about the Nephilim, am I saying that? I'm not saying that correctly. Doesn't that kind of sound like extraterrestrials?
Well, let's define what extraterrestrial means. Terrestrial, what does that mean?
I think it's a being that comes from outside of this planet.
Well, no, terrestrial.
Well, that would terrestrial would be this
outside.
Planet. Yes,
Extra would be
outside.
Outside or beyond.
Terrestrial is
the terrestrial.
Earth.
Yes. So I would say that I think if I'm understanding the definition properly, terrestrial is we are terrestrial beings. We are living in this material or external three-dimensional world, and we're functioning on a terrestrial plane. Extraterrestrial would be
from a different planet.
Beyond, well, not even from a different planet. It would be outside.
Interdimensional.
Yeah. Outside terrestrial, outside our realm, our dimension. And so I think extraterrestrial just maybe needs to be better defined. Because maybe extraterrestrial could just be a spirit outside of a terrestrial body.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That's logical.
Yeah, so in that definition, I could agree better than an extraterrestrial being beyond. Maybe it would be a physical being from a different place.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of people that have followed that they say aliens would be a physical alien from this 3D reality that would like travel from like point A to point B, like their planet to our planet. They would be an alien. An extraterrestrial would be like an interdimensional being, which would not necessarily be from our physical reality. So,
or it could be very much in our reality, but just in a different dimension. And it would be able to translate or transfer or traverse between dimensions, but still live partially in our dimension and mostly live in a different dimension, but be able to influence our dimension.
True. Yeah. Like ghosts or poltergeists.
Yeah. So this is all people are experiencing. If you look throughout history and you go across all sorts of different cultures, there is an acknowledgement of a spiritual world.
Yeah. Right.
So some people might, in our more modern era, say, well, it's aliens. But if you go throughout the greater context of history and you look at the traditions of, you could go to China or you could go to the Middle East or the South Americans, or you could go to the ancient Americas or whatever, there is a reference to some sort of life that exists outside of human bodies.
Right. In afterlife.
Yeah, or where this world kind of meets, for lack of a better term, the spirit world.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a greater history to that. I'm just trying to acknowledge that. There's a greater history to that and record of all of that throughout cultures, many, much greater legacy than aliens on spaceships. So I think that you have to kind of put aliens on spaceships in comparison to the spirit world and how that has affected human beings throughout all traditions.
Yeah, I think it's all interconnected, and the aliens are like spiritual beings, or a lot of them.
Or the spiritual beings are pretending to be extraterrestrials.
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. Yeah. It's all of the above. Like, you have like Hollywood and all these like elites and stuff and all these like, let's look at the whole Epstein list. The whole Epstein list, has it ever been released? No. Who went there? What do? They molest kids. They rape kids. They murder kids. What do? It's like based on like ancient religions.
Is that what
they do? Yeah.
They raped and murdered kids? Is that what they did on Epstein Island?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, in one aspect, it was all about blackmail, right? Because that's how you control powerful people. You get powerful people to come to the island, you seduce them, you get them like, screwing a 14-year-old, and then you videotape it, and then you can blackmail them, and you say, yeah, you're going to do what I say. You're going to follow my lead. You're going to do what I want. And then the other aspect of it is these people follow a very ancient, dark religion, which is like sacrificing children to Moloch. And the same thing they do in Bohemian Grove, in the county that we live in. Yeah. These people are sick. It's the same thing we were talking about, like Sound of Freedom tonight, the movie that was released on child trafficking. It's all related. These people, Hollywood is going down because all these people are fucking into pedophilia. It's a way to control people. It's a way to control politicians, Hollywood stars. Everything is connected. Everything is related. So
okay, let's pause on that for a minute. Why do you think people are getting so upset about this movie?
Because it's shining a light on truth, and because the mainstream media is owned by very few people or very few companies, and they're involved in this. So they do not want a light shined on this. They want to keep it hidden and in the dark. So when the masses are waking up, you have a problem, because there are billions of people on the planet. Billions of people, if they can't be controlled, you got a problem, as far as if you're the so-called elites.
Isn't it fascinating, Matt, how like one movie or one little, I don't know, one message, I guess you could say.
Just disrupts everything.
One message, yeah. One message through the form of telling a story can be such a controversial thing, or such a upsetting thing, or can be such a I don't know.
The movie was
powerful danger that they have to
cover up.
That they have to be threatened by it. It's like they could have just been like, let the story be told. But instead they have to like react in this way of like, don't go watch it. And that makes everybody want to go watch it.
Exactly.
It's like it totally backfired on them. And it's like, I have not even seen this movie.
The movie was filmed like 4 or 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And it was shelved. And then it was bought by Disney, and they shelved it. And then it was finally bought by another company that released it just this year.
Angel Studios.
Yeah. So you have to ask yourself, why was it shelved for years? Literally years. Like 3, 4, 5 years. So
here's what
they don't want this information getting out. They don't want people to see this. They don't want a light shined on this stuff.
Here's what I watched about or one of the videos that I watched about it. I don't know what's true or not, but they apparently the budget for the making of the movie was $14 million, roughly. And it has grossed, or it's made 100 in the box office. It's already made after a month, 120 something million dollars. So it's grossed 80, 90 million bucks.
Yeah. It did way bigger than what
Yeah,
the
and the
outlets
summer
expected.
summer movie time is kind of like a cool time to go to the movies and, you know, get out of the heat and all that kind of thing. You know, kids are out of school or whatnot. And what is, let's just compare it for a minute here. What's the message of the movie?
It's trying to shine a light on child trafficking, this incredibly serious problem that we have on this planet.
And is it fictional?
No, it's based on a true story.
So it's based on a true story, a true account of what's the general story?
Tim Ballard was a officer that worked for Homeland Security.
Boo.
And yes, that's a whole nother thing to get into. And I have not seen the movie, but he investigated child trafficking and rescued many children. I think his son is one of the children that he rescued.
Cool.
So yeah.
Why would that storyline be resisted?
Because child trafficking is a huge profitable thing that goes on this planet. Unfortunately, it's fucking horrific.
It's terrible.
And the elite take part in this. The quote unquote elite. They don't want you to know about it. The more people that know about it, it's going to make it harder for them to do what they want to do. Everything that's going on right now that I see, and I talk about the Great Awakening, is people awakening to the corruption on this planet. People seeing through the lies and deception, and people actually standing up against it and saying, no, I'm not going to partake in this anymore. I'm not going to do it. And that is what the elite fear. That is what they fear. Because there's billions of people on the planet, and there's no way they can control us all. They do it all through fear and all through manipulation and using the media. But when you have a movie like Sound of Freedom come out and exposes what they're doing, then people are going to stand up against it. Boom. They're not happy about it. So they're going to do everything in their power to take it down, to shut it down, to call it a conspiracy theory. You know, it's ridiculous. So it's great things that are going on now. It's really good things because a lot of people are waking up. A lot of people are asking questions, and they're not just gonna accept what they're told through the media.
Do you see this happening in your circle of people? Like people starting to maybe scratch their heads and be like, I don't know about why, you know, like say, not even using an example like this movie, but just in general. Do you see people like who you know, family, friends, whatever, who are being like, you know, this doesn't add up?
I would say like coworkers, and yeah, like a lot of coworkers. Basically, it's like about the economy, and everyone thought, here we live in California and we're very liberal, and we thought we'd vote for Biden and everything was going to get better and change. But we've seen gas prices are still high and inflation is out of control. And so a lot of people that I've talked to are like, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem like the Democrats are like really coming through with their promises. So in that sense, yes, I've seen it. Like a lot of people are not happy with Newsom, what he's doing. There's so much crime in San Francisco, San Jose, Berkeley, Oakland. The homeless epidemic is out of control. Nothing is getting solved by these people when you vote blue. And I'm not for blue or red. I know both parties are corrupt, but Democrats have basically been taken over by the Marxist socialists. So there's no surprise that when you see California like burning down and cities going to shit, everyone moving out of California or everyone moving out of San Francisco, this is not an accident. It's an agenda. And it's done on purpose. So I've seen a lot of people that have woken up to this and said, whoa, what's going on here? I keep voting for the same thing, thinking things are going to get better. They never do. So in that regard, in that long-winded answer, yes. And I think things are going to get exposed as far as like on the political spectrum. And like I always say,
is that going to be enough for people? Because look, dude, here's why I interrupt you. Look at the White House. You got this dude smoking crack. And is that shocking to people?
Hunter Biden smoking crack.
Yeah. Is that a shocking thing?
Most people don't seem to be like very shocked by it.
No, I don't think that they are. So,
I mean, they found cocaine in the White House like a couple weeks ago.
If that's not
right?
shocking,
people weren't shocked by it.
Yeah, exactly.
How did that happen?
I think that's part of the psyop.
One of the most secure places on the planet, and you find a bag of cocaine.
I think it's all part of the psyop to
Probably.
get people used to the fact of nothing is shocking anymore.
Just numb people's senses.
Exactly.
I can see that.
Yep. So if people are that numb, they're not going to respond to. I think that they're made to be numb on purpose. So that when something shocking comes along, they just go, ho hum. Let's just take it in stride.
Everything is a psychological operation. Yeah. The whole mainstream media is a psychological operation.
Yeah. So is social media.
Yeah, definitely.
It's to saturate.
It's like decaying our society.
Yes.
Social media.
So how is it then you can see things getting better in the next year?
Because I see things like the Durham investigation that has been exposing like the whole Russia hoax collusion. And that is all going to lead to Biden, Obama, Hillary, the Department of Justice.
That's only if people care. They've been medicated to the point of not caring.
Well, when people start getting arrested, then people are going to care.
Who are the people getting arrested? Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about people who committed treason. If you look at the whole Russia collusion that happened in 2016 when Donald Trump was running for president, Hillary went and got a FISA warrant from a FISA court based on false information in order to spy on President-elect Donald Trump. She spied on his campaign, his administration. This is election interference. It's treason against the Constitution.
Yeah, but you think people care about that?
When people start... This is the thing, is when you start unraveling it, it's like an onion. So you start peeling off the layers. You got one layer, you got another layer, you got another layer, you got another layer, you got another layer. It all links to everything else. So it's all going to... Yeah. It's going to come into view. It's going to come into perspective. It's going to take time, and this is taking time. Like, the wheels of justice move slow. but you have to have this investigation to show that all this stuff was based on a lie, and all these people are treasonous, and all these people in the government. Our government has been taken over. It has been infiltrated by naughty doggies that are being controlled by, like, the international banking cartel and all these unelected officials outside of the United States government that are manipulating us, like the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab. When you start exposing the German investigation, it leads to all these people. And that way, people can start to connect the dots and see the corruption for themselves. And the thing is, people can't be told about the corruption. They have to see it for themselves. They have to literally see it for themselves in order to believe that it is real. That is the only way. People don't have a choice. There's going to be a lot of people that don't care, but you have to leave those people behind. Just leave them in the dust. It doesn't matter. There's going to be enough people to care. And even if people don't care, it doesn't matter, because these people are going to be arrested and going to be prosecuted for their crimes and treason. That's how I think things are going to get better. You know, you have to expose the corruption. You have to weed out the corruption. There's a cancer in the United States. There's a cancer within the federal government. It is a DC corrupt bureaucratic cancer. It's criminal. It's like a criminal syndicate, like a mob. So you have to get rid of these people. It's in the DOJ, it's in the CIA, it's in the FBI. You can see it with the Department of Justice going after Trump and trying to indict him on all these different things. They're just trying to keep him from running again because they don't want him to expose all of their crimes. Now, I know we kind of differ on Trump. We can talk about that, but that's just my opinion. So I do think things are going to get better. 2024, things are going to get better. It's going to be a slow process. It could take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, but I think things will gradually get better.
So what do you think is going to happen going into the whole 2024 election? Like, who are the candidates, and what is your...
Yeah, well, you obviously have Trump, and then you have, like, Mike Pence running. You have...
Mike Pence is running?
Yeah, Mike Pence
Really?
is running. Yes. And you have DeSantis.
Oh, that's
Rob
hilarious.
DeSantis. So, obviously... No,
So,
Pence,
hold on. This is how much I don't pay attention. Donald Trump is running, and Mike Pence is running.
Yes.
Wow.
And Rob DeSantis.
Yeah, Ron DeSantis. I knew that. Who else? How about on the Democrats?
On the Democrats, there's really nobody except Biden, and I don't see how anyone is gonna, with a straight face, vote for that guy.
What about Robert F. Kennedy Jr.?
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Boom. He is a Democrat, and he is running for president on the
That I know.
So that is a very interesting topic that you bring up, because that is blowing the minds of people on the Democratic side, because he's been on tons of podcasts, like independent podcasts, like YouTube channels, and he's just going everywhere and just
he's also a Kennedy.
He's also a Kennedy, and he's also talked about his uncle JFK and the CIA being involved in murdering him and his father. So he's really putting himself out there, because, you know, he could be taken out for talking about this.
And he's been very outspoken throughout this whole COVID saga.
You know, here's my hot take.
Let's hear it.
Donald Trump wins 2024. Boom. He has VP RFK Jr. It would blow people's minds, because you would have a Republican Democrat. But, of course, as I say, and as you know, both parties are corrupt. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter about
Yep.
Republican or Democrat. You're basically going against the swamp, if you will, like this corrupt DC bureaucracy. So I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, I don't have any faith in the whole voting integrity.
I don't either. No, it's
So-
completely rigged.
To me, it's like this is all like WWF. That's how I look at it.
It depends how.
I'm sorry if that
how
makes you
much
sad.
they rig it. It depends how much they rig the vote. So
Yeah. To me,
if enough people get out
it's
there
like
in masses,
they've reduced this country to a WWF tournament.
dude, it is insane. I mean, are you serious? Like, look at people talking about men being women and women being men, and like women being.
Oh, dude, we're changing channels now.
No, but this is all. It's all about the absolute ridiculousness.
I'm not saying I don't want to talk about it. I'm just saying that we've gone from extraterrestrials to.
But it's all related. It's
It
all
is,
connected.
100%.
It's all connected.
I do.
But
I agree.
I mean, it's just like, can you imagine talking about like a man being on a woman's swim team like 15 years ago
No.
and like winning the gold medal? People 15 years ago would
I'll
be
go
like,
further than
"That's
that, and I'll say
ridiculous.
that
That's ridiculous."
I can't believe that there's people I know who are backing this shit.
No, it's this.
Because if I was to have the same conversation with them 5-10 years ago, they would think that it's ludicrous. But
Yeah.
for some reason now, they can get behind it.
And this is what the media
This is
does.
insane.
This is how the media controls you. This is how it happens, folks.
Well,
People don't even know it. It just kind of creeps in like a cancer. They don't even pay attention. They're like, oh, of course this man is a woman. Of course this woman is a man. No, you're wrong.
of course you need to wear a mask and
Yeah.
2 masks and
2 masks and wear some
And-
gloves
and
and
do
use hand
boosters
sanitizer.
and-
Hey, wear the
and-
mask in the
yeah.
car. Please wear the mask in the car. Yeah, it's all part of the giant
psychological
psyop.
warfare.
There it is. Giant psychological warfare. Boom. I don't know. April 4th. Or April, May, June, July. Sorry, August 4th,
Try that one more time.
2023.
Do it again for a fresh, clean take.
August 20.
Try again.
August 4th. And we're talking about some crazy stuff. I guess we'll wrap it up. It's been a while. Mainstream media, as we always talk about.
What did you get out of this tonight, Matt?
Well, I think it's good just to have a discussion because we both have differing opinions and views on things.
That makes us better, though.
No, I think it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
I like that. I like that we have different points of view. I don't want to just live in a
Echo chamber.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's healthy. It's very healthy to have
100%.
these discussions. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll leave it at
And
that.
believe it or not,
Believe it or no.
Matt and I don't hate each other.
No. We're going to
Hang
dinner
out and
after
eat some
this.
carne asada.
That's right. Try to cook it well.
Yeah. And that's America, everybody.
America.
You know, I grew up. Let me just do a little 5-minute, 2-minute something.
He's going to do it.
I grew up with a bunch of in my gang, and we used to turn these things over all the time. And we used to kind of say, what if this, what if that? And we never hated each other if we thought different. We thought it was kind of cool to say, what do you think about this? And then we listen to the other person and we'd be like, oh, no, I think something like entirely different. And I would say, well, what if this? And, you know, that's the great thing about freedom. And the way that we're being corralled, the way that we're being manipulated, the way that we're being, the way that really the newer generations are being molded is so just wrong. It's not at all. It's very limiting. It's very suffocating. I think it's really bad for the newer generations to be stifled in the way that they're being stifled. And so we need to help them and encourage them to not be afraid to be bullied into the groupthink. Because the groupthink is all bad. It's not good at all. You think like the group, you lose all sense of yourself. So, speaking as a parent to the other parents out there, we need to help our kids. We need to help the younger people as much as we can.
That's right.
You want to wrap it up?
Wrap it up. Yeah. August 4th. Good talk. Extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
Aliens.
Yeah. You think they exist? I doubt that.
Yeah.
Well, unless
100%.
Unless extraterrestrials means spiritual beings, then
It's all the
that's
same.
a different.
It's all the same
It's a
thing.
different conversation now.
It's all the same thing.
No. You're saying that they came here on a craft from a different planet. I'm saying that they exist here in the same world, but on a different dimension.
Yeah, extraterrestrials, aliens. That's the difference.
Extraterrestrials. What does that mean?
Extraterrestrials, interdimensional. Aliens, 3D.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So, till next time, everybody, stay tuned.
That's right. Stay tuned. See you on the next one, everyone. Okay, bye-bye. Bam.